Shannon Sharpe has to downgrade again, okay? So after losing his potential $100 million podcast deal over a 19-year-old white woman that came out to sue him alleging that he took her without her permission and she could not fight back. She said it was not BDSM. I told him he was supposed to wear a condom. He did not do it.
He called black women gold diggers. He told his own children, that he should be the last option that they are able to call whenever they need help. He didn't even want to pay for his own, I believe it was his daughter's wedding. He was a willing participant. He was a willing participant in every single thing that he did, and I don't feel sorry for him. The universe sent him signs. Katt Williams tried to warn him. He said it takes 2 weekends. Monique tried to warn him that him now, at the age of 57, and now he has lost his entire football career, basically because him and that girl had to settle for $23 million. His whole football career, he only made 22. So she got his entire Hall of Fame football career within, plus $1 million, within just a few short months.
A 60-year-old NFL legend taken down by a 19-year-old OnlyFans model. $100 million lost, a Hall of Fame career shattered, and now Tyler Perry is next. What you're about to hear will shock you, and it might just be the beginning of the end for some of Hollywood's biggest names. Stay with me. Woo! Maybe Shannon Sharpe should have listened when Katt Williams and Monique sat him down and gave him the kind of advice that doesn't just come from celebrity gossip, but from years of watching people rise, fall, and lose everything in between. They weren't being dramatic. They were warning him about getting too comfortable with the snow bunnies. A term often used to describe young white women who, in some circles, are perceived as drawn to fame and wealth, and who can sometimes weaponize that dynamic when things go south. At the time, Sharpe laughed it off. He was flying high co-hosting shows, building a reputation as one of the most charismatic, unfiltered voices in sports media, but charisma doesn't shield anyone from consequence. And soon enough, the very situation Katt and Monique warned him about came knocking on his door, not quietly, but with a battering ram. According to reports, Shannon Sharpe ended up shelling out a jaw-dropping $50 million to quietly settle a lawsuit filed by his 21-year-old ex-girlfriend, a model named Gabriela Zuniga. The relationship, which had already raised eyebrows due to the enormous age gap. Shannon is in his 50s while she was barely out of her teens when they got involved, spiraled into a public and legal disaster. Zuniga accused him of sexual misconduct and abuse during their relationship, including graphic and disturbing allegations about non-consensual BDSM activities, while Sharpe and his legal team vehemently denied the claims, asserting that everything between them was consensual. The settlement itself told a different story, or at least, that's how the public interpreted it. But the storm didn't end with the legal settlement. In what felt like a rapid chain reaction, Sharpe was let go from his position at ESPN, one of the highest-profile media jobs in sports commentary. The timing wasn't lost on anyone. Within days of news breaking about the settlement, Sharpe's name was absent from the network's programming schedule. And internal sources confirmed that the decision had been made to part ways with him. The result? Another massive financial blow, this time, reportedly to the tune of $100 million, including future earnings, endorsements, and potential deals that were in the pipeline. Altogether, that's $150 million gone, nearly overnight. It's a cautionary tale that many have heard before, one where a powerful, successful black man finds himself at the center of a scandal involving a much younger woman, and ends up losing everything. But what makes Sharpe's case particularly painful is that he was warned, repeatedly, not just by comedians or critics, but by people who understood the dark underbelly of the industry and the traps that come with fame, wealth, and unchecked ego. Katt Williams, in his infamous 2024 interview, practically begged him to take a step back and reconsider the crowd he was running with. Monique, always the voice of reason wrapped in kindness, followed up with her own warning. Be mindful of who you kick it with. Their messages weren't coded, they were blunt, and they were ignored. The public reaction was swift and mostly unsympathetic. While some expressed sadness or concern for Shannon, the overwhelming sentiment online was that he had done this to himself. Many pointed to his pattern of public flirtations and how he proudly paraded younger women, often on social media, as if to prove he was still that guy. Others saw it as a textbook case of hubris, thinking you're untouchable because you're successful, only to be reminded that nobody is immune to consequences. And as if that wasn't enough scandal for one news cycle, Tyler Perry found himself in an arguably deeper mess. While Sharpe's losses are estimated around $150 million, Perry is staring down potential damages of over $240 million in. That's just from one case. An actor from Perry's own television series, The Oval, Derek Dixon, filed a lawsuit alleging Perry engaged in repeated sexual misconduct. The claims were serious: unwanted messages, coerced encounters, and even an incident where Perry allegedly lured Dixon into a guest house under the guise of a professional meeting, only to make an aggressive sexual advance. Perry, known for his clean image and empire built on faith-based storytelling and uplifting narratives, now faces a serious reckoning. And just like with Sharpe, many people believe this scandal could have been avoided if he'd listened to the same warnings. He'd stepped back from the unchecked power and ego that often come with being at the top for too long. It's a complicated situation. Yes, the allegations are serious. Yes, people deserve due process. But when the smoke keeps piling up, when settlements happen, jobs disappear, and more people start coming forward, it's hard to ignore the fire underneath. What's particularly fascinating about this moment in pop culture is how it reflects a broader theme: the collision of power, fame, and personal responsibility. Shannon Sharpe didn't lose $150 million overnight just because of bad luck. Tyler Perry didn't wake up with a $240 million lawsuit because someone decided to randomly make accusations. These situations are years in the making, built on decisions made behind closed doors, choices that might have felt harmless in the moment but carried long-term consequences. Both men, in their own ways, are learning the cost of ignoring red flags, whether it's the company they keep, the people they date, or the boundaries they cross. And while they're not the first powerful figures to fall from grace, their downfalls hit particularly hard because of who they were supposed to be: respected, admired, and even inspirational. In the end, maybe the money isn't even the most significant loss. Reputations, legacies, trust, those things are harder to rebuild than bank accounts. And in today's world, where public opinion is swift and unforgiving, even the hint of scandal can be enough to erase decades of work. So, yes, Shannon Sharpe might have saved himself a whole lot of pain, financial and otherwise, if he had just listened, if he had taken a breath, stepped back, and looked at what others who had been in his position were trying to tell him. If he'd truly understood that what looks like pleasure in the moment can turn into regret when the spotlight shifts. And, as for Tyler Perry, only time will tell whether his empire will survive what's coming next. But one thing's for certain, this isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. It's a public unraveling.
Calling out Tyler Perry Studios. I'm calling out Mark Swinton. I'm calling out Jeannie Harrison. I'm calling out Michael Robbins.
If there's one lesson the entertainment world keeps teaching loudly and unapologetically, it's that reckless personal choices can come with staggering consequences. And yet, time after time, public figures walk straight into the same trap. Just last year, Katt Williams sat across from Shannon Sharpe, calling out celebrities who had sacrificed their integrity for fame and fortune, only for Shannon to now find himself caught in a similar scandal alongside Tyler Perry, no less. The spotlight turned uncomfortably harsh on Shannon when 21-year-old Gabriela Zuniga, who had been involved with him since she was 19, filed a $50 million lawsuit accusing him of sexual misconduct. She alleges that what began as consensual BDSM sessions turned into abuse, claiming that Shannon took things far beyond agreed boundaries. At 60, Sharpe's relationship with a teenager already raised eyebrows. But the allegations made it far worse. Zuniga's claims include not only unwanted sexual encounters but also emotional manipulation and threats. She says he once flew into a rage after discovering she'd shared her location with her family, and even threatened her life. According to her, attempts to end the relationship were met with coercion, escalating to repeated non-consensual acts, including a particularly disturbing incident as recent as January. Sharpe, through his legal team, has denied all accusations, insisting everything between them was fully consensual. He claims Zuniga tried to extort him for $25,000 per video, and that she edited recordings of their encounters to make them look incriminating. To defend his version of events, he released alleged text exchanges in which she requested rough treatment and expressed a desire to conceive a child with him, citing his race as her reason.
Daddy, I want like some hardcore BDSM action though. And then she says, I want you to tie me up like this. me daddy. And you can see when these text messages were released, you can see it says like from Gabby to owner. So it's painting a picture that their relationship was giving that, you know, there was role play and everything that were happening. Now,
it was a very unfortunate situation.
It's crazy.
Horrible situation.
But let me ask
Shannon Sharpe and his lawyer have handled this whole situation terribly. First of all, if you're Shannon Sharpe, you shouldn't be saying anything.
No, he shouldn't.
Busby and this young woman got audio, video, and text messages. If you know all of those things are out there, you should shut the F up and continue to allow your lawyer to do his job. And your lawyer said out of his own mouth that you was close to a $10 million settlement with that girl. That right there is all the more reason to shut the F up. I'm not here to speak to Shannon's guilt or innocence because I don't know, but I do know attempting to settle looks like an admission of guilt because I'm not settling.
Yeah, or you're just scared.
Yeah.
Honestly, you just probably scared.
I'm with you, Charlamagne. I feel like he's being advised wrong, right? And you know, when people go through this, they go to an attorney because the attorney usually knows what's best for them. They usually know what to do. And in this situation, like any attorney would say, shut the F up and let's deal with it in court. Let's deal with facts because you can't change public opinion unless it's in court with facts. Now, but one thing I would say, if somebody said this, but I cried when you left because I begged you to put a condom on and you put it in my beep and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. If that didn't happen, I'm going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Nah, we agreed on this. I'm not going to be like, I'll call you later because I'm feeling like this is a setup right here.
Absolutely.
As soon as you text me this, I'm going to feel a little, and nobody's just going to respond, I'll call you later. You're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? We both agreed to this. You know, like, this is part of the game. Like, nobody's going to respond with that, which scares me. But like Charlamagne said, shut the F up. Let the facts play out in court because right now, all this talking is doing too much.
Audio.
And it's making it worse.
Even audio when she was like, you're manipulating me. Like, even that would have been like, oh, no. Okay, I see what this is. You know what I'm saying? Unless they were role playing.
But wouldn't you have changed that right from the door? Like, what are you talking about? Like, no. Like, let's not play this game. Are you taping me? Because last night we was good with this. Like, in my opinion.
To my family, friends, supporters, and everyone who stood beside me, I want to speak to you honestly and directly, from the heart. What's happening right now is nothing short of a shakedown. I'm choosing transparency and truth, because I won't stand by while my name is dragged through the mud. This entire situation is being driven by attorney Tony Busby, the same man who once targeted Jay-Z. In my view, he has a pattern of going after prominent black men. Now, he's reportedly preparing to release a heavily edited 30-second video clip designed to paint me as guilty and reinforce every harmful stereotype imaginable. But the real footage, it's over 10 minutes long. Tony, if your case is so strong, release the whole tape, not just the parts that support your narrative. I would release it myself if I had it. Let's be clear, the encounter in question happened in broad daylight, and at her invitation. What's unfolding now feels like a calculated setup. One seemingly coordinated by Gabrielle, also known online as Carly, on OnlyFans, and Busby, who together are seeking a $50 million payout. Instead of giving in, I'm taking legal action for defamation and fighting back against this attempt to ruin my reputation. Throughout my career, I've built a brand around honesty and real talk. My supporters know who I am, and they know what this is really about. I'm going to keep speaking out, just as I always have. Your support means everything to me. As for Busby, his track record speaks volumes. Yes, he's the same lawyer who went after Jay-Z, and I pointed that out, hoping to expose a pattern, but it backfired when he responded by accusing me of offering Gabriella $10 million to make the lawsuit disappear. According to him, she turned the offer down and chose to pursue legal action instead. He now proudly claims to represent her, stating, "Bet she came to him, not the other way around." To add fuel to the fire, Busby released audio recordings of a conversation between Gabriella and me, along with a message she allegedly sent the day after the incident. In that message, she wrote, "I cried when you left because I begged you to wear a condom and not go there, and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. No means no, Shannon. I don't know how to process this. These are serious words, and I won't dismiss them lightly, but I will continue to defend myself with every ounce of truth I have, because the truth deserves a voice, and I intend to be that voice."
You're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Daddy.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did with the shit you did to me.
Okay.
While everything was spiraling, very few people had sympathy for Shannon Sharpe, and honestly, many felt he brought it on himself. Let's be real, a man pushing 60 had no business getting entangled with a 20-year-old woman in the first place. Age gaps are one thing, generational chasms are another, and to top it off, he was warned loudly and publicly. Comedian Katt Williams practically spelled it out for him during that viral 2024 interview. He told Shannon, straight up, "They're coming for you. Watch your back." Monique chimed in afterward, echoing that same warning with grace and concern. "You better be careful who you're hanging around." But instead of listening, Shannon ignored the red flags and kept playing with fire. Then came the fallout. Jaguar Wright didn't hold back. She aired him out and even accused him of engaging in shady behavior behind the scenes with powerful execs in the industry. Her criticism hit hard, and many others felt similarly, especially after the backlash from Shannon's now infamous Katt Williams interview. Some tried to reach out and offer him clarity, but he brushed them off, unable to handle the criticism. Let's not forget how this all played out. 1 minute. Shannon was publicly stumbling through bizarre Instagram live moments, some bordering on inappropriate, and, the next, he was caught in what many viewed as a public humiliation ritual. Yet, amidst all the drama, the focus kept shifting to the money. Headlines talked about alleged hush money offers, $10 million here, $25,000 per encounter there, lawsuits, countersuits, settlements, but somehow, the core issue kept getting ignored. Why was no one seriously talking about the fact that this was a grown man and elder, even with children older than the woman he was involved with? His daughters are in their 30s. His son is 30, the woman he was with, barely old enough to order a drink. Let's sit with that for a second, because the industry sure didn't. Shannon's apologies to his family sounded hollow to many. After all, if he were truly sorry, wouldn't the behavior have stopped long before it reached the headlines? Let's not forget, just months earlier, his name was caught up in whispers about bride trafficking allegations, tied to his connections with figures like Skip Bayless and others in the media world. And all this was happening while he was supposedly negotiating a $150 million podcast distribution deal, an opportunity many believe was backed by the NFL. And speaking of the NFL, remember who's deeply tied to it now? Jay-Z, a man who helped shift the cultural tide after the NFL's backlash over the Colin Kaepernick protests. He played a pivotal role in getting black audiences to re-engage with a league they had been boycotting. That's where some say the dots start to connect: the political, the personal, and the power structures. Adding to the intrigue was an interview Shannon did on his podcast with rapper DaBaby. In it, DaBaby casually mentioned being at one of Diddy's parties, how Beyoncé approached him at that very house party, and how Jay-Z was there too. These weren't just celebrity anecdotes, they raised eyebrows about who's in whose orbit and what really goes on behind the velvet curtain. Fast forward to the present. Shannon quietly settles the lawsuit with Gabriella, and while we don't know the exact amount, it was evidently large enough for her to delete her OnlyFans, vanish from social media, and walk away into luxury. Meanwhile, Shannon's career took a direct hit, fired abruptly from ESPN, and left to explain himself online, facing a storm of shame and scrutiny, and in the end, many are left wondering, was it all worth it? Would any of this have happened if he hadn't chosen to engage in explicit, high-risk behavior with someone for decades? His junior? Probably not. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real lesson lies.
I'm sure everybody's heard the news by now that I will not be returning to ESPN. I found out this information a little earlier in the week, and really the only thing that I really ask is, like, guys, could we wait until Monday? My brother's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I really wanted to be about him, and I wanted to be about my family. I know this coming out would overshadow everything that he's worked his entire life for. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And so, as I told him, as I profusely apologized to him earlier today, he said, "Bro, stop apologizing. You don't have to apologize. I'm your big bro."
When it comes to scandal, Tyler Perry is facing a situation even more financially and reputationally devastating than Shannon Sharpe's. While Shannon reportedly lost around $100 million in the fallout from his legal battles, Tyler is now staring down a potential loss of $240 million. That might just be the beginning. Rumors are swirling that yet another lawsuit is being prepared, threatening to add more fuel to an already raging fire. Just weeks ago, Perry was hit with a bombshell lawsuit from Derek Dixon, an actor from his drama series The Oval. In the filing, Dixon accuses Perry of multiple instances of sexual misconduct. He alleges that Tyler sent him explicit messages and lured him to a guest house under the pretense of a professional meeting. According to the claims, once there, Perry allegedly attempted to initiate unwanted physical contact, reportedly pulling down Dixon's underwear and saying, "Relax, just let it happen. It won't hurt." Dixon says he deflected the situation by changing the subject and trying to keep things calm. Many were quick to believe the allegations, not only because of the seriousness of the claim itself, but also because of prior hints dropped by other figures in the industry. Months before the lawsuit, actor Christian Keyes had made a cryptic social media post that many interpreted as a subtle accusation toward Perry. While Keyes never officially filed a lawsuit, insiders suggest that he may have received a quiet payout, which potentially explains his silence. These developments have sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Tyler Perry, long seen as a media mogul and a self-made symbol of empowerment, now finds himself at the center of deeply troubling accusations. If these cases gain traction, they could fundamentally reshape the public's perception of a man who has built his empire on messages of faith, perseverance, and healing.
Talking to my brother about making a declaration of my experience. What I experienced with certain powers that be that were moving inappropriately. This person was for years. He was claiming, that he had multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. Not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes. And it'll be men tempting men. I was like, well, I gotta protect me, because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work. So I started recording. So I have them offering me money to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with them or for them. I have recordings of them confessing that, the other guys that they have on the payroll.
Just when it seemed like things couldn't spiral any further, another actor from Tyler Perry's series The Oval stepped into the spotlight with even more shocking allegations. He claimed that both Tyler Perry and Mark Swinton, the vice president of Tyler Perry Studios, were involved in acts of sexual assault, and went as far as accusing them of paying off federal authorities to cover it up. In an emotional and deeply personal video, the actor, who is also a retired U.S. Army veteran, refused to stay silent. He called out Tyler Perry Studios by name and directly named several individuals: Mark Swinton, Jeannie Harrison, Michael Robbins, Mark Temple, and Chris Giovanni. He stated with conviction that what was done to him was unlawful and traumatic, especially given his mental health struggles, including PTSD and depression. He said he sought help from the California State Bar to file a complaint against Jeannie Harrison, claiming she failed to inform him of his rights as a veteran and a resident of Los Angeles. He expressed his frustration about the legal inconsistencies he observed, particularly in the case of Derek Dixon. According to him, Dixon, who lives in Los Angeles, was granted jurisdiction for an alleged assault that occurred in Georgia. The actor found this questionable and felt it underscored a deeper systemic issue of selective legal handling. At this point, both Shannon Sharpe and Tyler Perry appear to be standing on very shaky ground. The lawsuits are piling up, and word is there are more on the way? Some believe it all could have been avoided had they taken heed of the warnings that came early. Katt Williams publicly cautioned them, pointing out the dangers of their industry choices and the people they associated with. Monique also spoke up, kindly warning them to be mindful of the company they keep. But instead of listening, those warnings were brushed aside. Online, public opinion is divided. Some argue that these men made poor decisions and now must face the consequences. Others believe they were set up, especially in relationships where large age gaps and power dynamics played a role. One user commented that Shannon's young girlfriend had a plan all along and knew exactly what she was doing. Others expressed disbelief. saying it's hard to process how so many scandals could surface in such a short span of time. One voice summed it up: "Every week there's something new. I've never seen this many allegations come out back to back. Not Tyler, man." As it stands, Shannon Sharpe has reportedly settled with Gabriella, leading many to believe that some of her allegations may have held weight. Though the exact payout remains unclear, it was evidently enough for her to delete her OnlyFans account and disappear from the internet. Shannon, on the other hand, was fired from ESPN and forced to publicly address the matter, facing immense embarrassment and scrutiny. In hindsight, many are asking the same question: would any of this have happened if he had made different choices? If he had stayed away from situations that involved BDSM power imbalances and a partner nearly 40 years younger? Meanwhile, Tyler Perry's empire faces its own unraveling. Accusations continue to emerge, including past rumors involving actor Christian Keys, who never formally filed a complaint, allegedly due to a quiet payout. The scandals threaten to tarnish a legacy built on storytelling, empowerment, and faith. But now, that legacy is being questioned. As everything unfolds, people are left wondering whether this marks the downfall of two cultural giants. Katt Williams might have sounded harsh when he called them out, but in light of recent events, it's hard not to wonder whether he saw what others refused to. Is this the end for Shannon Sharpe and Tyler Perry? Or will they somehow survive the storm? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned, because it seems like this story is far from over.